All right, everybody, it's time for another episode of DWMOD. You know that's Disagree With Me or Don't. We're going to break it down this week. We got special guests in the house. You'll be excited to see this fella. You will be excited to see him. But listen, we're going to talk all about the whole weekend that was. When will Shedeur get picked show on ESPN? The backdrop to that show also we're a little interested in. The rest of the NFL draft. We'll be taking a look at that. Pistons are lighting it up in the playoffs. We're going to take a look back at this WrestleMania finale that was just absolute trash. We'll get into the Shedeur Sanders nonsense, those idiots that prank called him. We're going to get into all that stuff, man, and we'll give you our draft results versus Mel Kiper coming up around the corner. Louis, let's go.
We cutting loose.
Touchdown. College football is now B1G versus SEC.
Down.
If you ain't listening to All Right Bet with me and Andy St. Clair, you're throwing away money.
Ready?
Oh, Lions fans drinking that Kool-Aid. Super Bowl. Hey, disagree with me or don't. That's how it works. Yeah, disagree with me or don't. That's how it works. We're getting ready to roll. Louis, just no further ado. Let's bring in our guy. It's been a while. Andy St. Clair back in the house. My man, how are you?
Good. You know, I'm in my daughter's playroom, so it's going well. If I'm in here,
it looks like a draft room in the background. What it looks like.
It is. That's my draft board. It's it just says BUL. So bull. That's what it says. So I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm ready to be back here for a little bit. I was a lot of things moving, a lot of moving parts recently. So hopefully things will start settling down soon.
And a birthday, man. Happy belated birthday, my man. I hope that was a good one.
Year older, it was a big one. It was one of the big ones.
Year older, year wiser. That's all right. We can keep hoping for, man.
That's right.
Sure. All right. Well, listen, man, let's jump into breaking some stuff down. It's been a while since you've been back. So let's just jump right into the last week of sports here. The NFL draft. We had our annual draft, mock draft competition, man. You were missed this year. That's matter of fact, that's how we started this show 5 years ago. The first episode I did, I had you on and we did a mock draft the year that Baker Mayfield was the number one pick, man. I think
turned out all right. He did actually turn out all right. I gotta give Baker that.
He did. Pretty good draft. That draft's pretty loaded with a bunch of probably Hall of Famers, man. It was a pretty good draft. Pretty good. Well, anyway, listen, the results were in. We went head to head with Mel Kiper again this year. Now, Dunbar filled in for you, and Dunbar scored 15 points on the mock draft, which you and I know the way this thing is scored, not easy. That's not a bad showing.
Not bad. And that is, he got him exactly in the right spot.
No, if you get the exact player, then you get 3 points. But if you get the position the team drafted correct, you get another 2.
Okay.
So it's virtually impossible. You've done these things with me. These things are extremely difficult. But to get into the teens, pretty good. I had probably my best. I don't know that I've done better than this. I hit 25 points in this thing.
Pretty good.
A real good week. I was like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get Mel for the third time in 5 years here. No dice. Mel had one of his best drafts in the last 20 years. I mean, he scored 33 points on this thing.
Yeah, he was good.
But listen, I'm going to say he really only got 27 because the final 6 points he got 2 direct hits at number 27, some safety to the Ravens, which is like an inside. That was like an inside thing, man. You know what I mean? And then at 30, he drafted like the exact 4th cornerback off the board to like the Bills or something. I'm like, nah, come on. You got a guy on the phone. Come on, man. I can't. But he had a better draft than he normally did. But we showed up. We showed up, man. Pretty good. The biggest issue of the draft weekend, buddy. Let's jump on it right now. This Shedeur Sanders mess. Go ahead, man.
Well, it clearly, once that 26-year-old Louisville quarterback got drafted in like pick 40 or whatever it was, Tyler Shue, I think's his name.
Yeah.
That's when you knew Shedeur was in trouble. He was already in trouble, but I thought maybe the Browns at 33 would take him. They weren't interested. And, I think there's probably better quarterbacks next year. So these teams that need a quarterback are like, we'll gamble a little bit. Maybe if we get lucky, we'll draft the backup to next year if Arch comes out or that LSU quarterback. Ultimately, I think, though, some of the problem was, and I don't know, but it's like seems like some of the problem was like the kid's only been coached by Deion. It's hard to decide, like, is he going to be coachable? Can he learn another system? Because he's only learned one system in like probably 15 years.
Yep.
But I do think he's good. Like, that's my issue. I'm like, I don't think he was like, should be pick 144. I think he should have been picked like 50, if at least. Like,
Yeah, he was I would say a third round. That was his talent. This whole draft class for quarterbacks was not great to begin with. Let's not mince words there. Everybody was behind Ward was a second round or probably third round. I don't even know anybody outside of Ward was probably worth a third rounder in this draft.
Right.
And you hit the nail a little bit on the head with the Sanders thing. He's only been in the one system. There was the one story that leaked from Brian Daboll, like not from him, but from his office there, that like before he came into the Giants interview, like they gave him an install to study and come in and discuss. And he came in and he was like, he didn't even do it. He didn't even know, like he didn't even bother with it. And it was like, okay, bro,
Yeah, Shador doesn't have much to worry about, right? Like eventually he'll just go be an assistant coach on Deion's staff. Like, right. It's like,
yeah, or just make TikToks.
Yeah, it's fine.
I
mean, I do like, I think Cam Ward, like, why is he the best player? Like, I just don't get it. The only thing the Browns did wrong, in my opinion, outside it was taking Dylan Gabriel like in the third round.
Yeah.
Like,
that was really weird.
If you're going to do that, then don't take Shador. Let Shador, be a free agent. Let Shador go undrafted. I don't know, but like, why waste on the double?
It seemed really stupid. That Gabriel pick was terrible too. But you know where I stand on that, man. If you don't even hit 6 foot, I'm not taking that lottery ticket. I mean, Drew Brees, and that's it. There's one guy. I'm not taking that.
Kyler's okay, but like the success rate of smaller guys is low.
Yeah, it's no good. It's no good. I wouldn't take Kyler Murray. You could give me that draft 15 times over. He was in. I wouldn't take him in the 5th round. I mean, he's a good athlete and he's got skills we've discussed before. But I'm like, it's just not. He ain't into football. His teammates don't like him. He's not a guy I'm going to take. And a little bit of that fell on Shador. Now I don't know if you saw the pivot. The little section they were playing off the pivot on Ryan Clark's take on this whole thing. Okay, I've got some clips here. We're going to break it down piece by piece, and I'll get your take on a lot of these. We'll break them down here. But I do want to say this because it's going to come across the wrong way. So listen, I like Ryan Clark a lot. You know that. Like, I'm a big fan of the pivot. I like Ryan Clark. I think he's one of the only honest voices out there. Now, whether you agree with where his voice is coming from his own life experience and his honesty, that's a different story. But I like Ryan Clark. I feel like he speaks from the heart. And I also love the fact that I don't always agree with him. Sometimes I agree 100%. And sometimes I'm like, I think he's a little off on this one. And I think he's a little off on this one. I do. So let's take the first section of the clip here. This is the first little bit he had to say, and then we'll stop it.
With it is obviously the anonymity of all of the comments and all of the quotes and all of the things that we have had reported, whether it was Josina Anderson around the combine, recently with this quote from an offensive coach who says he's entitled.
Okay, let's just take that first little clip there. His big issue was all the anonymity behind all the statements that were coming out, like the one scout that was like, he's came in, never had a worse interview. He's completely entitled. This kid, throws his teammates under the bus, all that stuff that was coming out behind the scenes. Now, Ryan having a problem with that all being done through anonymity. I mean, he's in the news business. That's how that works. That's how you get honest takes from people, is you don't give up their names.
Yeah, and for sure. And like, right, I guess what they're kind of saying too is like the cloud that looms large here is Deion, right? The fear is for these teams that take Shador, typically they're probably a bad team, right? And maybe this is their last possible year to get a quarterback, and then the coach gets fired. And then what is that team going to do? Right?
Sure.
What is that team going to do? They're gonna have Shador Sanders as their quarterback. There's the opening of the Cleveland Browns. Right, head coach. They get rid of their coach. They got maybe Sanders is better than Dylan Gabriel, which I believe is true.
Yeah.
Then what do you do? Right? Who are you hiring? And then so the coach, they're going to be doing. Of course, they're going to be anonymous. Why wouldn't they? They're protecting their own job.
You're protecting your own job. The reporters are protecting their sources, because guess what? I know this was the last draft ever because it contained Deion's kid. But they're going to be another draft next year, and that reporter's going to want some comments from the inside again next year, and giving up names ain't going to help you get that. So sure. I don't understand the beef with like everybody acting as if these were like keyboard warriors in the basement on Twitter. No, this is real news media.
Right.
those are protected sources. So let's get off of that. The other thing is this flying around this point that all the pundits are making, that like, oh, that he's entitled and that this is a made up thing. And I'm like, this is not a made up thing. This came from everybody who interviewed him, said that.
Right.
And I'm going to play a clip right here. This is the epitome of entitlement right here. This is Shedeur at his number being retired in the history of the program at Colorado,
Right.
but this is him at the ceremony. Okay. Here we go. Like they're announcing it. And it's look at my $1 million ring. Check out my $1 million necklace. They missed the part already where he's showing off his classic watch move and look at all my gear and, like all the money I'm wearing and things like that. Now, listen, if that's not entitled, you tell me how that video right there is any different than the hedge fund kid whose daddy is rich, who just graduated from Duke and finished 50th in his class and had the library named after him, doing a TikTok dance in front of his Bentley. How's that any different?
Yeah, I would. It's not. I think the difference really is like that's not a play really for Shedeur. It's like, hey, Dion, we want you to stay here, right? We're relevant.
Sure.
So let's keep the head coach happy, and let's do it that way. I mean,
No, I agree with you 100% on that. 100%. I'm not blaming Shedeur here at all. Like, this is not the kid's fault one bit, not one bit.
No.
If he showed up to that thing and just stepped out and thank you very much, and that was the end of it or whatever, then I'd be like, that's not on him. But then you show up and you do that. I'm like, that's entitlement.
Nobody there. It was so weird. It was
so
like,
weird.
Do it at like a halftime of the bye week that Shedeur has when he's not playing quarterback for the Browns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that just kind of rings untrue to me too. Everybody saying that this is a false narrative about him being entitled. Listen, I went through a lot of sports with my kids and I coached my own kid in high school and stuff, but I understand there's a lot of daddy ball going around all over the country. But they would tell me this kid's always been the starter, as you pointed out. He's only got one coach ever, and he's been the starter every step of the way. I mean, if that's not, having a sense of entitlement off of that, when has he ever had to compete or anything? These are things NFL teams are concerned about. And that behavior in that video is constant behavior from him. So how are they supposed to not think that?
Right. Yeah, no doubt. It's like, he didn't do himself any favors. But also his name, I think if his name was like Shedeur Hampton, he might have been drafted earlier.
I'm going to disagree with that. If all his actions were completely the same and he had NIL money and he was flaunting all the watches and the stuff like that and blowing the interviews and trying to pick where he wanted to go, I think he would have had the same fate. I
think Dion looms a little larger than we think.
That's a fair point about the, no coach wants him looming down.
But why would a coach who like Seifert, or the Browns coach, who I think
for sure,
whatever, like he can withstand it, right? He's a good coach. But if you're like Daboll, who's like, you get Sanders and he doesn't work out, and then Dayball's gone after next year, probably should have been fired this year. Like, who are the Giants going to get? Like,
yeah, right.
They're going to have to. So why would Daboll put himself through that? Right? Why would Daboll be like, I don't want to do it? And those are the kind of teams that need the quarterback, right? Guys that are on their last year. So again, I think if his last name was like Shedeur Hampton and he wasn't related to Dion,
that's a fair point.
I think it's different.
That's a fair point. It would be a little bit different because these coaches are not only worried about what you're talking about. These coaches are also worried about the fact that, like, come week 8, if he's not playing or we're not doing well, it's going to be nothing but a social media barrage from Dion about getting my job. Nobody wants to deal with that.
He's gonna have a press conference on Sunday or Monday where he's gonna be like, why didn't Daboll play my son? What they think they got the quarterback there with Russell Wilson,
100%.
And then Daboll has to deal with that. And so Daboll, they don't want to deal with it.
We're going to have some clips on that exact point too, because that's probably the biggest thing that's looming over this whole thing is not wanting to deal with the constant Dion barking in the media about what's going on with my kid. Nobody wants to hear it.
And that's how Dion has gotten Colorado to be good. But the downside is when it's your own kid, this is the consequence, right?
This is the consequence.
Whether it's fair or not, I would say it's unfair. But I think that is the consequence.
Well, and let's also be real clear here. Like, this is a league that will take chances on guys that have rap sheets longer than your arm, rapists, guys that have been manslaughter. Like, if your talent outweighs the circus, they will take you in a heartbeat. And I think what's also getting lost in the muddy waters here from the media is the fact that his talent does not outweigh the circus by any means.
But if you would have, I think if I would have put Shedeur Sanders on Oregon when they played Ohio State, and Ohio State beat them like 3,000-0, and Dylan Gabriel was terrible, terrible, because they played legit NFL players. Ultimately, Ohio State 11. Shedeur was going to be much better than Dylan Gabriel.
I don't disagree.
I just 100% believe it. Right,
100%. I don't disagree.
So why wasn't did the Louisville quarterback who was 26 was there ever any talk about this kid? Like ever?
No, right before the draft, he was the hyped up
Never.
one that moved up.
And all of a sudden he's the third quarterback, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. Bad class. But I do think that like Shedeur was honestly, everything aside, probably like a third round pick type of guy that teams would be taking a chance on because he played well his senior year in college at Colorado. They didn't win a lot of games, but he did well enough that like to be picked third would probably be fitting for him. But they know that was like, this is going to be a little bit of a project. This kid doesn't have all the measurables. We're going to have to bring him along. You know what I mean? And you're not going to deal with a maybe bring him along backup quarterback that comes with the Kardashian reality show. It's not worth it.
Right.
Not really.
Shiloh didn't get drafted.
No, we also knew that was coming, right? I mean, So, let's take a look at the next portion of the clip here, which I also think is a very disingenuous, false equivalency that the media is also putting on this thing.
Had a number 1 overall draft pick get arrested for being orderly and drunk. And we had more people coming out and saying, okay, here is who the real Baker Mayfield is. Don't watch this video. Don't believe that what you saw of him is who he is. He's a good person. He's a good leader. He's this. We had more anonymous people saying those things. Shedeur Sanders never been arrested. Shedeur Sanders has never been in trouble. Shedeur Sanders has never misused his names to the point of taking advantage of people. You have Johnny Manziel, who missed the first game of his last year against Rice for Texas A&M because he was suspended. You have Johnny Manziel, who ended up getting a whole documentary about how effed up he was away from the field, but there was no anonymous talk about him.
This is another one I'm hearing everywhere. And all these little videos, I see people that do shows like ours talking on TikTok, and they're all, Shedeur's never been arrested. Shedeur never got in trouble for that. This is such a false equivalency. This has nothing to do with why he fell. So to immediately, this is like a politics game, immediately reach for a dude like Johnny Manziel as a parallel to like, this is unfair. This guy got treated differently. And it's like, it's just not the same thing. Am I crazy here? I'm like, this is, you grab,
I mean, and ultimately it's like, I get what he's saying though. Like we all knew when we watched Manziel, something was going on, right? Like, we did, whether we knew he was taking money when it was illegal to take money, like in that documentary he's talking about is true. Manziel admits all of it.
It was a big problem, but he fell in the draft too because those things were leaking out before the draft.
He fell to like 21, 22,
And that's my other point, though. He would have fell right out of that first round if it wasn't for one of the worst teams in the history of drafting, the Cleveland Browns, who also took Shedeur. But you know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for the Browns, Manziel wasn't getting picked in the first round, and he was the perennial number 1 pick going into the draft like months before. It was this guy's the number 1 pick, and he almost fell out of the first round. So to say nobody was saying anything about that, yes, they were. The Browns just thought they were going to get a deal and fucked up. He was falling out of the first round. I just find it disingenuous to grab like a dude that's like the case in point for like, he doesn't have any manslaughter charges. No, this is such a leap. This is a false equivalency.
Sure. Yeah.
I just don't. I'm not buying into any of that point.
I just like it's. I don't think it's like a race issue. I think it's a bad issue. That's what I think.
100%. That's the other thing too. Is it's 100%. It was 100% a dad issue, and that's the next couple of clips that I have. I wanted to get into that with you. Is the fact that like it's Dion and the circus, and it's already started. Like here's a clip here. This is him and Shedeur doing their live show on the internet like they always do, minute by minute of their life. And this is them talking about his situation in the Cleveland Browns room right after he gets drafted. And, Shedeur's like, well, they got Joe Flacco's probably going to start. And Dion's already with the man. He's my age. He's old. Teams don't want to deal with that.
Right. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Flacco's not that. Like, I think all he's telling his son, just like you would tell your son privately, he's just doing it on camera. Like, you can beat that dude out. Like,
keyword
privately.
When you put it out there like that, it's like that's Deion Sanders discussing the quarterback room with the Cleveland Browns, and they don't want it publicly.
Most teams probably don't want it, especially nowadays. But that's my problem. I have no problem with that clip. Only I agree with Deion. I'm like, when the Browns are signing Flacco, I'm already like, well, what are they? What's the worst team's odds? Like, what can I like? What are we doing?
Nobody would argue with you on that, Andy. Not even a little bit.
Like he just is. He's at least honestly enough. He's saying it. I'm like, yeah.
But that's the problem is I think a lot of these teams don't want that kind of stuff discussed out loud, which we were saying earlier.
Deontay Johnson, who was a horrible teammate for like 3 teams last year.
Right? They just can't get out their own way.
What are we doing? Like
they don't know.
Every other team's like, well, they're going to give him another chance. Put it on Deion, and Deion would be like, that guy can't play wide receiver. I would have destroyed that guy. Like, I don't know. The problem is like he's just telling the truth, and people are mad that he's telling the truth, and they don't want to deal with the Deion of it all.
No, they don't. They don't, because like we said, come week 8, it's going to be, Shedeur should be starting. What are we doing here? The coach is bad. It's going to be all the undertones of getting people fired. And he's already started firing stuff. This will be handled accordingly. Shedeur don't take a backseat to anybody in reference to Dylan Gabriel going before him, and they're in the same room now and stuff, which again, as a father is completely fine. But you have to know, especially after assessing the situation of what just happened to your kid because of these things, this is why nobody wants to deal with the show. We don't want to have to constantly be answering these questions in the media from your dad.
Right. But all he's saying there is that Shedeur is going to be okay. He's going to play, and we'll see if he's better than Dylan Gabriel. As the dad, I am telling you, and I happen to have a national spotlight. He's better than Dylan Gabriel. And
he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's right.
Even last night in that Bucks Pacers game, see the end of that game where Halliburton's dad got into
it. Man.
Like Are what? Like that is way worse, in my opinion, than anything Deion
10 times. 10 times
worse. But everybody's just moved on, right? They're like, Halliburton said, yeah, I talked to my dad. That wasn't cool. And everybody's like, okay.
Yeah. Cool. But the difference here is Halliburton's dad doesn't have a chance of coaching that team next year.
Yeah. But also
big difference.
But Halliburton shouldn't be like, I guess if that was a random fan, my point is he wouldn't be in the stadium next year, right? They would.
You wouldn't be.
So you have to give some rope to some of these people, right? And Deion is a head football coach. There are a lot of worse head football coaches out there who do a lot of worse things. And somehow, just because Deion, I'm pro Deion. So somehow, just because Deion is talking to everyone about he's proud of his son and saying this dude is good, everybody's like, well, let's shit on Shedeur.
That's not a problem.
I'm kind of now I'm rooting for Shedeur. Right?
I don't have a problem with any of that. I just think it's fair to say that, like, as I pointed out before, the reason for the slip to me is just like the talent is not outweighing the circus right now. And a lot of teams think that there's a lot of circus around this thing that they just are not interested in getting involved in. And you can't blame the teams, and you can't. Furthermore, here's the next thing here. This is the next one to me this is all tied together. So let's play this last clip here.
The way that Shedeur Sanders has been covered seems purposeful. It seems that there is some sort of intent to slander or defame. All of these conversations could be taking place behind closed doors, as they do for so many of these people, and kept there. But why him?
Right.
It's for the clicks. It's because the name will bring people to your page.
And that's exactly it. It is exactly that. But here's my biggest problem with that. Who is the only voice in the monopolized sports media world, Andy? It's ESPN. Where did all these stories come from? ESPN. What news media outlet put that narrative out there about him? ESPN. Who broke all this stuff? ESPN. And then their pundits they created this storm themselves. They're just as responsible as Deion for this guy slipping. Right. And then they want to put their pundits on TV crying, this is wrong, and the media did this. You did this. You did it. Right?
Right. I mean, no doubt they did it. I mean, it's like I felt bad for him when he was really slipping. That's when I felt bad for him.
Yeah, sure. I don't blame Shedeur. Like I feel bad for the kid for being mixed up in it. He's a kid. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know any better about a lot of that stuff. And then the ESPN has the audacity to put Stephen A out there making this statement. Someone just texted me this message, and they're absolutely correct. This is a bad look for the NFL. This feels like the Kaepernick level collusion thing. All the hard work that the NFL league office puts into eradicating these kind of perceptions, only to turn around and watch all of these owners colluding and messing everything up. Like this whole tweet from Stephen A that this again is the league colluding to hold somebody down. And to relate it to Kaepernick, like, this is laughable. This is laughable.
Yeah, I mean, probably. But if you would have, but the NFL is like not a great organization. You know, like I agree with you. It is laughable. But are you 100% sure it's laughable? Like,
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not 100% sure. I would be like, okay, sure. You could get me to believe it.
Here's my thing, though. Here's my thing. I need someone to really like drag me into the light on this then. What is the collusion in the NFL? Where is all this thought process coming from that everybody hates Dion? The league hates Dion, and they want to hold him down, and they want to punish his kid, and they want to send some kind of message. What's the message? Like, I don't understand all of this deep state on this situation. Like, where's the hate for Dion? I don't get it. Explain it to me.
He believes he's hiring former NFL players to be assistant coaches who are never getting a chance at any other, like Marshall Faulk, Warren Sapp. He's very vocal about it. He's vocal about the NIL and how he's the master of it, right? And it's kind of destroying college football. He's also the front and center of like, I will take your players and I will make them good because there's no good college coaches. And you have to believe that these other NFL coaches and the teams are friends and have systems within college football rankings. So maybe the head coach of just pick a university, Wisconsin is good friends with, Carolina Panthers. And he's like shitting on these teams. And then they asked the Carolina Panthers, like, just like if you and I were talking, like, I don't like this person that you are kind of friends with. You might naturally, just to be on my side, kind of push that friend away. Right. But
Yeah.
I believe that is possibly happening. I'm not saying like, also, any job that comes up in the NFL, I was calling him for the Cowboys 2 years ago, right? Any job that comes up.
Sure. They're going to be talking about it.
Going to be up there for it. So I just think there's a lot of reasons. I think the NFL is possibly like they're not like they have hid way worse stuff, right? They Ray Rice and elevator.
There's no doubt about that.
Had the video for a long time, right? And they're like, "Oh, he suspended 3 games."
Sure, they hide a lot of stuff. That's nobody's in disagree with that. To me, I'm just having a real hard time making the leap here that this was a giant conspiracy theory to try to put Dion down. I just don't see it. I see it more as what we said before. You overvalued your situation. You overplayed your hand, and nobody wanted to deal with that circus because the only thing that this whole collusion wise, the only thing this has in common with the Kaepernick situation is at that point in Kaepernick's career, the talent didn't outweigh the circus. I mean, that's kind of I think it's that simple. I don't think there's a big conspiracy here. I think a lot of teams I don't know if he's that great and I don't want to deal with it.
But why aren't these teams that don't have great quarterback situations, why aren't they taking Shador? Because they want to run Russell Wilson out there? Why aren't the Giants doing it? They got Jackson Dart. Okay, fine. You can think Dart's better. Sure. But like the Browns took 2 quarterbacks. Sure. Why didn't Titans? I don't know. I just like there are a lot of good quarterbacks out there, but he's cheap.
Yeah, no, he was cheap. Like I could see him going like 4th round. Somebody probably should have jumped. I'm not going to disagree with that. But like the Jackson Dart thing was clearly from the Dayball story. Like I brought Shador in. I wanted to see the install. He blew me off. Act like he didn't want to be here. He blew the interview on purpose. Basically told me to beat it. And Dart came in and was ready to go. We went with Dart.
Yeah, but why didn't the Steelers take him? Right? They went with Will Howard. Like
why the Steelers didn't take him. Tom don't that shit. You're not bringing it in that locker room, man. That's why I told you,
but Tomlin's a guy who could deal with it, right? He's safe.
He might be able to. He might be able to, but he don't like it. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of on Shador's side. I'm on Dion's side. I'm like, yeah, I think these guys are like.
Listen, I'm not trying to shit on these guys, and I don't think there's a side to be had. I just think my whole message in this whole thing is that the way the media caused this whole thing, ESPN, the way ESPN caused this whole thing and then acted as if everybody involved in listening to what they told them are monsters and collusion artists. Now you created the whole thing for a media clicks storm, and now you're trying to act as if everyone else is the demons.
Yeah.
Like, come on. That's a big knock it off from me. Like, it's just bullshit to me, man. It drives me crazy, man, that they're the only voice and that's what they do. But anyway, we'll let this thing go.
I hope he's good. No, I hope he's good.
He's going to have limited reps now. He's in a room with 5 guys. I mean, what are they?
He can beat all those dudes. It's like, who's he beating? Gabriel, Flacco, Deshaun Watson. Like, nobody wants to. Like, Deshaun Watson was given more of a chance than Shedeur. Deshaun Watson did a lot worse things.
A lot worse things. But again, there's that thing. Rookie of the year, one of the top stars in the league, rising top 5 quarterback at the time when he was getting into all that trouble like that. The talent outweighs the circus. They'll deal with it. Right. But we'll see. We're going to see, like you said, when he's coached by somebody else and can pick up a new system, we'll see. You know what I mean? We'll see. Anyway, nothing against that kid, man. I wish that kid well. I hope he does well. It's not his fault. He's a child, man. And all the adults in the situation muddled this whole thing up. And how as a kid do you not buy into that? How as a kid do you not run around thinking, having an undeserved sense of self-accomplishment a little bit? How do you not?
Bet on him. I'm going to bet him for Rookie of the Year. Even though I think Jensen's going to win it, I'm going to take him.
I wouldn't do that. It's got to be 1,000,000 to 1 that he even plays a game, huh?
I'm going to get him. I'm going to get on him. I remember I said Penix last year, and if Penix would have played,
you'd have won it. I took that bet based on your suggestion last year.
I mean, he just got in there a little late, earlier.
He did not get in time, man. He didn't. Well, anyways, let's jump into some quick hits this week. But before we get to quick hits, we got to throw it out for the sponsor. That's Gold Dust Coffee Company, and they're being brought to us by, the man, the myth, the legend, minor league baseball Hall of Fame announcer Gordon Butterfield is here on the call with what just happened for Gold Dust Coffee.
What just happened? What just happened is brought to you by the Gold Dust Coffee Company. Wake up to a golden dust sunrise or the freshest Kenyan farm coffee beans you'll find in all your favorite flavors from espresso to vanilla. There's even hazelnut. Just scan the barcode and download the app, and you'll be well on your way to ordering the freshest coffee beans that Kenya has to offer. That's the Gold Dust Coffee Company, and don't forget to add your discount code DWMOD for 10% off. It's Gordon approved. Well, looks like old boy Jimmy Little took his Silverado pole dancing and got himself stuck in a predicament. He's clearly exceeded that 2-drink minimum, and you better figure out something quick. You don't want to get caught at a pole dance. It looks like he's just gonna let it rip and set it down. Ho-ho! Deployment! The airbag cut loose and that truck just spit his hat right out on the concrete. Ho-ho! Stuck to a truck. That bag exploded and that truck's a spitter. Ho-ho! What just happened?
Oh, man. Gordon taking a little dark there that time, Gordon. Hot to a truck. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, he's dialed in. Gordon's dialed in anyway, man. What? I'm going to have a talk with him about cleaning it up. You got to clean it up a little bit, Gordo. This is a family show to an extent here. To an extent here. Let's do it. All right, little topical here because you brought up Ohio State earlier, talking a little bit about the playoffs and things like that. Ohio State sends the most guys into the NFL draft this year. Most guys get drafted. 14 players from that Ohio State team got drafted. A couple more signed, probably free agency, things like that, which brings me to our point that we always make on this show, Andy, is that this guy is not a good coach. This guy's not a good coach. Yeah, he won the national championship. They're going to retort to me out of Columbus. And I'm going to say, yeah, because you spent $30 million and you had 14 NFL draft picks out of your 22 starters. Yeah. 14 of them were NFL draft picks. To put that in perspective, like that sounds different now. And you won the national title. The guy's not a good coach.
Not a good coach, but he does. Somebody recruits well.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, now it's just money. Yeah, you got to do anything. And they got the money. They got the money. So, Brian Day, loser. All And on the flip side of the Ohio State coin, let's talk a little bit of U of M football. The number 5 pick in the draft, Big Grant, he goes number 5 to the Browns. They move down, but they get Grant. And it's going to be a little bit of a wake-up call for this kid in the league, though, I think. He's clearly the best defensive lineman in this draft. Everybody wanted him up there. You know, Carter got picked before him because he can rush the passer and has a higher ceiling. But the guaranteed slam dunk in the draft, every pundit agreed, is this guy. But I think he's going to be in for a little bit of heartbreak because he got drafted by the Browns, and now he's going to find out what it feels like to actually lose a game of football in the state of Ohio. He hasn't done that yet.
He's going to find out the hard way. He's going to find out the hard way for sure.
He's going to find out now what it feels like to lose in Ohio because he went 4 years and never did it. He never lost. Never lost because of this guy, because of that guy right there.
Yeah.
Man, I had to take my shot. I had to take my shots there, man. Okay, let's jump in quick hits. Let's jump in a little bit of Pistons playoffs. Last night's game, I know we're texting each other a little bit about this game. Hey, Pistons are not out of it, man. Do you think that they can come back and win the series?
I think they're going to win game 6. These games have been close,
Close.
I think, I think the Knicks look a little beat up, a little hurt. So I definitely think they're going 6. It just depends on what happens at 7. I think 7, probably the Knicks are going to win in 7. But, if Cade can get hot in game 7, that to me is the key. If he can just get hot.
Yeah, if it's anywhere close, the league will take care of it. You're going to have to be up 10.
If he can get rolling, you could say the Pistons should be up 3-2, and it should be going back to Detroit for game 6.
Boy, they should, man. The end of game 5 there. The end of game 4. The end of game 4, Hardaway with that ball in the corner. Cade gets a good shot, young guy, and everybody's like, yeah, but he missed it. And I'm like, well, okay, like how many other guys in their 3rd year ever, first time ever in the playoffs? Like Jordan was missing some shots then too. Yeah. He worked, he got the shot, the ball's in his hand. He didn't make it. We're going to get there. Future looks bright. But Hardaway in the corner for that 3-pointer. Now, if that's Brunson or Towns, that's an automatic foul.
Or probably Cade,
Maybe even Cade, automatic foul. But my big beef isn't with the officials, though, Andy. Like, my big beef is with Hardaway. You're not a rookie. You're not a young guy on this team. You've played in the playoffs before. You're a 12-year veteran. That guy's up in the air, and to avoid contact, you double clutch and move away from him to try to jack up a bad shot. Just jump into him, man.
Sell it. He's got to sell it.
Yeah, just go right into him. Brunson does it every time he's got the ball.
Yeah. I think that's why, like, if it goes 7, my only problem with Cade, and I love Cade, is like sometimes he plays great for like 7 or 8 minutes, and then he kind of vanishes for like 3. Right?
Yeah.
He just goes away, and then he comes back on for 7. Like he needs to be good for about 47 minutes in game 7. Yeah. He can take a minute off somewhere.
Yeah, they got to clean up the turnovers in game 7. If this thing goes 7, they can't have those like 3 to 4 minute stretches in the game where they're in spaz mode and they're just trying to fly to the hoop and throwing the passes to nobody. And like, there's some bad turnovers they got to clean up. Yeah. But listen, I think
get on them early. Get on them early in game 6. Force Brunson to go sit and rest up for 7.
Yeah. Speaking of Brunson, he's going to be the topic of situation right around the bend here and Knock It Off. But this Knock It Off is brought to you by the one damn drink you should be enjoying this whole week of sports with. Every time you sit down, you ought to be getting yourself a Brass Monkey made with the official beer choice of the DWMOD podcast.
Brass Monkey, that funky monkey, Brass Monkey Chunky.
That's what I'm talking about, man. It's Old English 800. Enjoy the games. They're bringing us Knock It Off, and let's talk a little bit about Jalen Brunson.
All right, everyone. Time to do me a favor and knock it off.
All right, when this series started, Andy, the league crowned him Mr. Clutch. He was handed the Mr. Clutch award for the season, and I saw exactly why in game 1. Anytime you try to deny him the basketball when he doesn't have the basketball and you're just playing defense on him, he will grab your arm and pin it to himself and then flop down on the ground and get a call. He's excellent at it. Watch the next game. You'll see he'll do it 3-4 times in a game. He'll grab your arm and then fall, and you'll get a foul for Mr. Clutch. I don't know if you saw this, like even on Simmons on The Ringer did a whole segment on him after like game 3 of this series and was like, oh, he is hands down the biggest flopper in the league now. It's not even close.
Yeah. Right.
It's not even close, man. And Cade had enough in the last game. I don't know if you saw this.
Karl Anthony Towns Brunson and Cunningham having words. Zach Zarba getting in the way. And we've seen some chippiness so far.
I mean, Cade went over there and they had the little rip leader thing going out there, and he said, "You're a flopping bitch." And then he told the official, "You're going to keep giving him that shit." And then Brunson was like, "They called the foul." And I'm like, "Oh, man." And
it's easy for Cade to lip off. He's got Holland and Beef Stew just ready to rock.
I mean, Beef Stew's got to get back in the lineup here at some point, right?
Well, he'll fly to wherever to get into this fight. He doesn't matter to him.
Yeah. Did you see the clip? I'm not going to play it, but did you see the clip of Jalen Duren? And he had Brunson on the ground under the hoop, and like somebody closed in on their TV, and he was like, "You motherfucking flopper!" Like
Pistons team don't mess around, man. They do not mess around.
They don't.
They will throw down.
Yeah, and they're banging, and like you said, it's taking its toll. Knicks are looking a little beat up. They're looking a little long in the tooth, man. And this is a thing also. Like, there's a 3-minute clip you can find on the internet of like Brunson flops in like one game. And it's like, this is bad for the league, man. This is why people aren't watching anymore. Nobody wants to turn on the game and watch a guy throw his head back like he got like Kennedy in Lincoln at the parade, and then falling down 15 times a game and going to the line. Nobody wants to watch it. Put your foot down.
Right. No doubt. Flopping's bad. And we got to stop the flop. Stop the flop.
They got to. They need to instill the rule like the NHL did about the diving a few years back, and that stopped it. If you got called for the foul, you're going to the penalty box. You know what I mean? That's what they need to start doing. It's getting old. It's getting sad. I don't even want to watch it anymore. It's terrible.
All right, everyone. Time to do me a favor and knock it off.
All right. I've been waiting to get your take on this.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're 2 weeks away from this, but we didn't have a chance to get you on the show last week. This WrestleMania finale.
Sure.
Come on, man.
Come on. I watched it. I just thought it was slow. I was like, once the fear was like, I mean, I'm fine with Cena winning. Doesn't really matter. But like,
sure.
It was just moving at a snail's pace, that whole main. And I was like, oof.
I didn't even have a problem with that, to tell you the truth. I was like, the Cena heel turn, loved it. Cena is going to walk away with the belt. Fine by me. That's great. That's wrestling. And very good. He's going to have his last tour this year. Like, that all played for me. Even the slow match in the beginning played to me, with him making the heel turn, and then he's doing the stuff to intentionally slow down the match. It was like old school wrestling. Like, I loved it. I was like, this is hilarious. I'm cracking up. Here's what everyone hated about it.
Yeah,
who is this in the picture?
Travis Scott.
Who, like, I know who he is. I'm being facetious, but I'm like, this is the pinnacle moment in the history of professional wrestling. John Cena just won more championships than Ric Flair. He is now the most decorated heavyweight champion in the history of wrestling. This is a record that stood forever for you baseball people. This is like Hank Aaron beating Babe Ruth. This is a big, big, big deal.
Right.
And in order for this to happen, they marched down Travis Scott to help Cena in his heel turn, to cheat and win the match, and then he's in there holding his hand up. I understand people being irate. Like, what the fuck?
It was not fun. I didn't like that. I saw a tweet that said Saturday was a bad day, but a great final match was the Rollins, turn. Sunday was a great day, but a bad final match. So it was the opposite. They had opposite days there.
It was, and I love Rollins. That whole thing was great. I've always loved Rollins. I think he's a great performer. He's awesome. I always love Rollins. This thing just at the end, everybody was like, "What is going on with this, man?" Like, wait,
I didn't need Travis Scott. Also, it was terrible. He's not. I don't think he's a wrestler. So like, you're not fooling me, right? He comes in and, oh God,
it's terrible. And then like, just to me, like, as a writer, like, okay, so if we're going to take the opportunity to have the full heel turn here for Cena, and somebody's going to come down and help him cheat, why not have it be Rollins? And have these two go in the thing together for this last, year of, right?
100%.
100%.
Be a wrestler. That's all.
Yes. And put those two together. And then you got some big matches next week where these two are in a tag match or something. Like, do something to make money.
Right.
Just bad. All
right, everyone. Time to do me a favor and knock it off.
This is the second to last one, but I'm going to call this one my favorite, worst of the week. Like, these kids that pulled this prank call on Shedeur Sanders, I think they should be beaten and flogged in public. I really do.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
You talk about entitled little douchebags. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, no matter what you think of the Sanders family or Dion or Shador, he's fucking worked to get here.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Everything he's done, he's worked to get to a moment that like not a lot of people are ever gonna fucking get. And you think you had the balls and the audacity to like to do some shit like this and try to take it away. You're a piece of shit.
Yeah, it was bad. Didn't like it.
No, these kids, and you guys saw this. There they are, and they're old Miss. There you go. There's the Duke kid with the Bentley, as talked about earlier. And
Yeah.
turns out he's the son of the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. I feel bad for that guy. I really do.
Yeah.
I hope he beat him.
No, I'm with you. I hope you get no doubt.
I hope he whipped his ass, man. You took that
Probably
off
did.
my
Probably did.
iPad.
Yeah.
He better have. That guy's job and livelihood is now in a lot of trouble, and that is the epitome of entitlement. There is just to do some shit like that.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah, 100%. Agree. 100%. Horrible.
Apology is not worth it. You should have to volunteer for whatever charity the Sanders family has for like the next year, every fucking weekend in an orange vest. Like,
Yeah.
I hope somebody kicks the shit out of them. I hope somebody beats their ass on campus, one of the football players or something. These kids, fuck you, little idiots.
All right, everyone, time to do me a favor and knock it off.
All right, we'll end on this one with my favorite guy, Mel Kiper, that I'm always gunning for because he's a caricature of himself. He's in the ESPN world now. You put him and Stephen A next to each other at Cedar Point. Someone could draw a picture of them with the big heads or something. They're just characters now. They're not real people. But here's his fake outrage at the problem ESPN created.
The NFL has been clueless for 50 years when it comes to evaluating quarterback. Clueless. All that, no idea what they're doing in terms of evaluating quarterback. That's proof. There's proof of that. How many times we know exactly what we're talking about with quarterback? They don't.
That's him losing his shit over the Shador thing, saying 50 years, the NFL's not known how to evaluate quarterbacks. They don't know anything about it. They have no clue. Clue. Do we need to remind Mel Kiper of some of the quarterbacks that he has hands down taunted over the year in the draft?
Yeah. He's not perfect.
Let's run down a few here. Akili Smith was one of his big number one pick by the Cincinnati Bengals. Some of you probably don't know who that is. Andy and I do. We're a little older. Akili Smith was one of the biggest busts next to Jamarcus Russell. Yeah. These are guys that he was can't miss guys. He says can't miss. Another one, Johnny Manziel was a big one for him. Number one, can't miss, should be drafted number one. We all remember when Blaine Gabbert was far superior to Cam Newton and was the number one quarterback in the draft for Mel and should have been drafted way at the top. And my favorite, the Casey Clausen out of Notre Dame.
Right. He's not a top 3 quarterback or whatever.
If he's not a top 3 quarterback, I'll retire. We're still waiting, Mel. This guy spent a weekend in the NFL.
Yeah, that wasn't great. That was a big swing by Mel.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then he has the balls to be on TV and like be that mad. Like, what is he like studying tapes of Mad Dog? Like, this is how I get clicks and get people to look at me. I start to be mad and outraged about nonsense. I mean, he went off, and then like Reese, I don't know if you were watching, but like Reese and Louis Riddick were up there like, Mel, it's not about that. It's about like what we were talking about earlier. Louis was saying, he was like, from a front office perspective, you just don't want the noise, man. It's like,
this is Mel's time. This is the only weekend he gets, and then we don't see him again. He like goes into hibernation for like 50 weeks.
I thought we were going to be rid of him a few years ago because Todd McShay was kicking his ass in the draft bad.
Right. Now McShay's at the ringer.
Yeah, and he's got some kind of gag order where you don't talk about the ESPN thing, and they broomed him out the door. Mel had more friends over there.
Yeah,
broomed him out the door, man. So for Mel, right? That's for you, Mel.
All right, everyone, time to do me a favor and knock it off.
All right, let's put the damn thing to bed now, NFL. We're tired of talking about it. The NBA Finals will be here. There's like 2 more series in each league. Yep. So what? 3 more months?
Feels like it. Yeah, about 3 more months.
It's like a 4-month playoff process for them. They're 4 days off between games and shit. Anyway, Stanley Cup's heating up. NBA's heating up, guys. There'll be plenty of games on this week. Really quick, let's touch on some all right bet, Andy, before we get out of here. I'm sure you've been busy as hell, but it's got to come across your feed every day. We have been lighting it up on the baseball, guys. If you're not following the baseball picks every single day, you are throwing money down the drain, man.
You're killing it.
We're 165 bets in right now, Andy, and we are 165. 100 wins, 65 losses at this
Oh,
point.
that's good, man. That's really good.
35 over at 500. And in the last 4 days, we've gone 19-5.
Come on. Let's
Big
go.
money in the last 4 days. We've made some
Right.
big money. 6-0, 5-1. Then we had a 2-4 day where a couple of teams, Dodgers included, gave up like 6 runs in the 7th to
Right.
blow the game and shit. And then we went 6-0 again yesterday. So
Okay.
picks are up today, guys. Keep it 6 picks. You know the deal. I'm going to put 6 picks up every single day. You mix and match. You make your own parlays. 2 and 3 teamers is what I'm suggesting. You want to play the 6-teamer? I did. I hit it. But you know what I mean? Play 2 or 3 teams. Get your little $5, $10 bets going on some of these games. You're going to win some money, guaranteed. NBA Finals, Andy. I know I have a ticket on the Cavaliers as well as you do because you talked me into that. Thank you very much. I took that. You got any other futures going on the NBA?
No, if you're going to do something fun, I think should take the Lakers to win this series at like plus 400 to beat the Wolves because they're going to win Game 5. Then they just have to win Game 6. And if they win Game 6 in Minnesota, and I think if you're betting, like on Luke and LeBron, I think that's possible. I do think Minnesota's going to win the series, but you get a 4-1. You might as well give it a shot.
Listen, take the Lakers and the Pistons and put $5 on that and see what you get.
Yeah, see what happens. You may get the Pistons a little lower, but
even if the Pistons are 250, right?
Yeah.
What's 250 and plus 400? You're sitting $5 get you 50, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. So you should definitely look into it. But it feels like it's going to come down to OKC and I think Boston. But we'll see. Boston's got to get by.
It does seem like that, but Cleveland, man, Cleveland looks good.
Yeah, they look good. Now they're going to play the Pacers. They'll beat the Pacers. Pacers. They'll beat the Pacers.
They'll beat the Pacers. Here's the thing I like about the Celtics a little bit was early in their series, they were going a la New York Knicks and crying that the Magic were playing too physical. Magic play a lot like the Pistons, physical defense.
Right.
They got the crying in the press. And when they didn't change the way they were calling it, the Celtics came out and started playing a little harder and started beating their ass. So good for the Celtics.
It's good. The other good thing for the Cavs is like whoever they play, the Knicks or the Pistons, it's going to be a war. It's going to be physical.
It is, man.
They'll probably win that series, but they're going to come in a little unhealthy to Cleveland. Most likely.
And more so if they play the Pistons. The Knicks might limp into that series and get swept. Who knows? You know what I mean? But anyways, we'll see, man. Andy, great to have you back, brother. We'll see you next week.
See you next week for sure.
Yeah, we'll get into some things, my man, and we'll see you next time. Oh no, Louis, you're supposed to play the song, man.
Oh, come on, man.
Well, no, he's drinking a coffee. Louis, we're out.
We out.
College football is now B1G versus SEC. Down. If you ain't listening to All Right Bet with me and Andy St. Clair, you're throwing away money. Ready? All Lions fans drinking that Kool-Aid. Super Bowl. Hey, disagree with me or don't. That's how it works. I wish you could have seen him in the booth right there, Andy. It looked like a scene out of Police Academy. Like it was a cop with a coffee and a donut. He was like, "Oh, he didn't know what to do."
Yeah.